Did I make a mistake when I stepped into the world of 4K HD? That's what I want to reflect upon now and explore in today's chat video. So let's get into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So as you may know, you've seen previous videos, there's a lot going on with me at the moment, and I'm exploring my collecting habits, cutting down, wanting to cut down, and this led me to this question in my mind, which is about the upgrade from Blu-ray to 4K Ultra HD. Was it needed? Is it a mistake? Did I make a mistake stepping into that world of physical media collecting? So when did it come about for me to start with? That's the question that we have to start with. So I stepped into 4K at the beginning of COVID, when everything had shut down. What had happened was I'd got some money back from the tax man. About £4 was owed back to me. Happy days, it came back. And with some of that money, I bought a new TV. And I bought a 4K player and my first few titles of 4K movies. I remember my first 4K movies. I'm pretty sure Aquaman was one of the early ones, and also Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I bought that lovely box with where you press the button and it lights up and goes do 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 do. Does that sound right? Do 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 do. It plays that. It still works. It still works as far as I know. I don't think I've ever actually watched that film in 4K. But there we go. That's another discussion for another day, isn't it? So anyway, so I'd stepped into it at this point. Everything had been shut down. The world had changed. It looks like we were going to be, well, it changed there and then, and it looked like we were going to be stuck in for a period of time. So why not upgrade something new, delve into something new, a new sort of home theatre experience, so to speak. So like I said, 75-inch TV, 4K player. I think I had a 50-inch TV prior to that. 4K player, and away we went. And away we went with 4Ks. Now, inevitably, stepping into the world of 4K, we were going to see an increase in price of stuff, as in my outgoings on my collecting was going to noticeably increase, because even if we're just talking standard 4K Amaray releases, we were looking at about £10 difference between the Blu-rays that I would buy and the 4Ks that inevitably I would then get. Now, I've collected physical media since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I got my first job when I was 11 years old. I worked in Herne Hill in a pet shop that was down there until I was 16, and then obviously I went and got a proper job. I say a proper job, a part-time job, but while I was at college and that sort of a thing, it gave me a bit more money to spend. And from those ages, I was buying VHS tapes, and I remember going into school with VHS tapes in my pocket, 2 a day, to show mates, oh, I've got this film, I've got this film, I've got this film, I've got this film. Not dissimilar to what we do now on here, saying, oh, I've picked this up, I've picked this up, I've picked it. There was the start of it there, right there. So I went through VHS era. I remember I went to college over on Surrey Quays, and when I'd get the bus home, I would go through Surrey Quays Shopping Centre. There was a little Owl Price there, and I remember when they had the releases of Star Trek Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, when they used to come out, I'd buy the VHSs. I had the whole set of like Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager on VHS, and the sides, the spines with little images all the way along, they were there. Think the amount of space that was taken up with that lot. Then obviously came the era of DVD. But between the two, I did dabble in Laserdisc as well for a period of time, only for a couple of years. That was as well as VHS. DVD came about. I was straight on it. I was straight on my first DVD player. I've still got it, still works. Multi-region. I bought it from a shop on Tottenham Court Road. It cost me about 550 quid at the time. Coming home with it, used to get all the films imported and this sort of a thing, and happy days, inflated prices. I was importing these films, but boy, did I feel special. Boy, did I feel like, you know, oh, I've got this film before you have, so I feel fantastic. Do you know what I mean? You're going to see this film in the cinema. Ha ha ha. I've got it at home on an original release already. It was that kind of mentality, that stupidness going on up here. So DVD. Then we stepped into Blu-ray. My first Blu-ray player was a PlayStation 3. Yeah, PlayStation 3, which I actually bought. I bought a PlayStation 3 on its first day of release. I remember buying it. It was from Argos in Wimbledon, which is no longer there. And yeah, straight home I went with it and got some Blu-ray films, and away we went. And that journey begun there and then with Blu-ray. And obviously came the upgrading from VHS to DVD, from DVD to Blu-ray. Now, before I stepped into the realm of 4K, I always said to myself, I'm done here. I'm stopping here. I'm not going into the next thing. I don't want to go into the next thing. I've upgraded already a couple of times. I don't want to upgrade anymore. Here we are now, where I am right now, in the mental space that I am in right now, with the feelings that I have right now about the fact that, seriously, over the years, I've wasted a lot of money on these upgrade after upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. It's never ending. Okay. Now, the one thing I've never done is bought a digital film. I won't go digital. I will not go down that road. I'll be honest with you here and now, right? I seriously don't see the point in purchasing something that has no tangibility to it, that is essentially a piece of data, a key to a piece of data. Okay, I could open up my computer, I could go and find some torrent site of some sort, and I could download a file of that film or that TV show, whatever it may be that you're purchasing digitally, and I can obtain it like that. Stick it onto memory sticks, whatever it may be. Away we go. Wham, bam. There we go. I've got exactly the same thing as what you've got. Data. Data in one form or in another. Right, so I will not purchase. I will not step into the realm of purchasing digital films. Never, never. Take away physical media dies, players die, no longer exists. I am not stepping into the realm of purchasing digital content, right? That is more a waste of a money than the world I'm living in now, so to speak. So yeah, so I stepped into 4K, happily so. And, you know, so even before I started a YouTube channel, I had a collection of, you know, of whatever it may be. I didn't used to pick up steelbooks, okay? Obviously, stepping into the world of 4K kind of has now brought about a wealth of steelbooks, because, you know, you get a lot of steelbooks that are the 4K release. You know, you get your DVD release, you get your Blu-ray release, you get your 4K release, you get your steelbook 4K release. So, you know, I started dipping more into the steelbook side of things. I had a few to begin with, but I remember even purchasing, I remember going back when Captain America the First Avenger came out, I remember purchasing the steelbook, regretting having purchased said steelbook, wanted the Amaray instead because I preferred the art, selling the steelbook and getting the Amaray. That's how I used to feel about steelbooks. Things change. Yeah, things are always changing, always growing, always progressing, so to speak. So yeah, we found ourselves now in the realm of 4K, and I have to question myself whether the decision was the right thing to do. Okay, so I don't consider myself to be a 4K snob, because, you know, I still delve into the world of Blu-ray to a lesser extent. I still pick up DVDs on occasion to a far less extent, okay? But for the most part, it's 4K. There are the odd films that come out and I think to myself, okay, I given the choice between a 4K and a Blu-ray, what shall I go for? So most recently, the kind of editions where I thought to myself, pick up a Blu-ray, were Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and Joker Folie à Deux, which as of filming I still haven't picked up, you know. And the thing with Blu-ray is Blu-ray depreciates very quickly now. You know, it isn't long before you see Blu-rays in the sales with a far bigger reduction than what you get on 4Ks. It's not long before you see Blu-rays in CEX, a far cheaper price than what you've picked them up for. You can go a week and you can save yourself some money by waiting a week and going into CEX and picking up the latest title on Blu-ray. Who wouldn't do that? So it also begs the question that, you know, what would happen if I never went into 4K and remained just a Blu-ray collector? That might be a good kind of what if discussion to delve into at some point. I won't delve into it now. Yeah, I might talk about that one. Let me know if that interests you. My kind of what if would have happened. You know, a kind of makeshift what if I just lived in the realm of Blu-ray. How would things have progressed for me? So yeah, so obviously with 4K, you know, came the stepping into more of the steelbooks, and then certainly more of the collector edition kind of releases. These were few and far between when I first started picking up 4Ks. You know, the collector edition things weren't really that big a thing at the time. It's most certainly over the past 3-4 years, and again COVID had a big part to play in this, that we started seeing far more collector's editions come about on the market. Reason being, during COVID, everything shut down, Hollywood shut down, the film studios had no new releases to release, so they looked at back catalogue titles that they could produce quickly to 4K, that they could put out as collector's editions and this sort of thing. And we stepped into that realm of collecting, a lot of us did. And they've persisted since. And the reason now that we're seeing so many of these collector's edition kind of things come out, a wealth of them, just a flood of them, to the point that special is no longer a word that really applies to them, because almost every film gets one eventually, and they're just out there available. Is that obviously physical media has an expiry date, by which I mean there is a point in time that physical media is done with, that it's not sustainable for companies to continue producing and releasing physical media. You know, we've already seen the price hikes on physical media go up, with steelbooks going up and all this sort of a thing, and that's an outcome that is inevitable. It's kind of like a vicious circle kind of situation, in that as you've got a forever shrinking marketplace for these purchases, which we have, and you know, the materials for making this stuff increase in price, inevitably companies have to inflate the prices of these items to stay sustainable. So you see a shrinking marketplace, you see an ever increasing cost put on the consumer at that end to keep it viable for them to keep producing it. But with each price increase comes a drop off of the consumer, because people have only got so much money. They become far more picky. They pick up just what they want, not everything. And lo and behold, the circle just expands and expands and expands. It shrinks at one end, it increases at the other. And that's what we're living with now. So for me, I have to question whether, like I said, 4K was a good idea for me to step into or not. Now, I've got a lovely collection of stuff. I like my collection, right? Whether it be 4Ks, Blu-rays, or the DVDs that I still have. Behind the camera, I have a wealth of DVD, primarily TV stuff, all right? I've got a lot of TV series. I know full well that in my lifetime, the chances of me watching all them again are zero. Yeah, of me getting through all that stuff is zero. But yeah, I don't want to let them go. You know, I'd rather let the films behind me go before I let the TV stuff go. Such is my love for a lot of that era of TV and the shows that came out way back when. Plus, the films are easier to reobtain than what the TV stuff would be. Because these get multiple releases, these don't. It's that kind of situation. So, yeah, so, you know, I mean, I enjoy a lovely picture as much as the next person. Okay, sound doesn't do nothing for me. I've just got a sound bar. I haven't got a surround sound system. I did have years ago when I was younger, but you know, I don't need to have that audio experience. And I'm sure that it's lovely. I'm sure it sounds great. And I'm sure that if I was in a setup with it, with certain films, Blade Runner 2049 being the one that I can always cite as when I watch on Blu-ray, I always think this would benefit from a surround sound system, right? I'm sure it's great. I really do. I just don't want to go down that path. You know, I'm happy as I am with the 75-inch TV, with the sound bar. I can sit down, I can watch my films. They look pretty, but do they look pretty enough, right? Do they look mind-blowingly fantastic? Especially today where, you know full well that a lot of these companies are now utilising artificial intelligence, AI, to quickly upgrade their 4Ks. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they go for the cheapest possible option to upgrade their films rather than the more expensive option? Because like I said, those circles are decreasing and increasing. So if it's cheaper to do that, you keep some costs down at that end. But if your market is only that big and ever shrinking, then you've only got so many buyers for these items anyway. So, do you know what I mean? Let's make them cheaper. You know, there's been a lot of 4Ks that I have picked up. Okay, that's a bit of I shouldn't have said that really. Let me rephrase that. There have been some 4Ks, not a lot, that I have picked up and I've questioned the purpose, the point, the quality. You know, there's been a few from Arrow where I have actually said, this isn't particularly good. Weird Science, Time Bandits, to name but two. I know there are more. I think Last Starfighter was another one where I've said to myself, you know, the Blu-ray would have sufficed here. Not the 4K. This isn't a good transfer. Comedy films getting 4Ks. I don't get it. I don't get comedies getting 4Ks. I get it if maybe you've got a nice dark film so you can deepen the blacks and this sort of thing. I understand it if you've got a big science fiction colourful, kind of spectacular, like something like Avatar and the like. I understand, you know, Avatar, I hate the film anyway, but do you know what I mean? Colourful came to mind. Aquaman looked great in 4K. It was one of my early 4Ks, and I was blown away with how the film looked. And you do pick up other ones, you know. I thought that the 4K transfer of The Thing was fantastic. That film looked great in 4K. It really did. It looked lovely. But there are a lot of others where I just have to question the need for that particular film, the need for, well, the transfer itself, and whether it's worthwhile and whether it's worth the money. So, yeah, so, I mean, whether it was a mistake stepping into 4K, you know, at the end of the day, whether you're watching Blu-ray or 4K, you know, the transfer difference between VHS to DVD was quite substantial. You know, the picture quality from DVD to Blu-ray was quite substantial. The picture quality difference between Blu-ray and 4K wasn't as a substantial increase in quality. So yeah, you know, what do I feel about having, if I'd only stuck with Blu-ray? Like I said, I might do a video going into detail on that. But what I mean is, at the end of the day, whether I'm watching a Blu-ray or a 4K, I'm watching the same film. Sorry, I'm just taking out a bit of pak choy for the tortoise here, who is looking a little bit like he wants to have something to eat. There you go, tortoise. Do that. I know he doesn't make many an appearance now, but he is still there. So yeah, so like I was saying, at the end of the day, the film is the same. I'm watching exactly the same film as what you are. There are some films that I can cite that have had 4K releases that are most definitely better suited to be watched on Blu-ray. RoboCop being one. The RoboCop 4K was too clean for the film. Yeah, RoboCop is a rough, gruff kind of a movie, and it's better off watched with a kind of a rougher look to it. And I think that the Blu-ray is sufficient for that watch, and the 4K is too clean. Interestingly, I thought RoboCop 2 benefited from the 4K, and it is far better than what it was on Blu-ray. So that, you know, that's one example right there. Another one is Aliens. Right? The transfer of Aliens was very divisive, as is what is a lot of James Cameron's films when they've had the transfer, the 4K transfer. Now, for me, Aliens, I thought it looked great. You know, never has the film looked so clean, so sharp, so detailed. You can see everything. Seriously, you can see everything in that 4K. Therein lies the problem with it, because it is too clean. I don't want to see everything. Yeah, I want things to be shrouded in darkness. I want to be questioning, what is that in the background? Is that something? Do you know what I mean? I thought that the transfer of Aliens was a nice addition to the Blu-ray. I think they kind of work hand in hand, in that I could watch, on one occasion I could watch the Blu-ray, next watch I'll watch the 4K, back to Blu-ray, 4K, because I get different things out of both items. But if someone new came to me and said, I want to watch Aliens, can you lend it to me? I've got a 4K player. I'll say to them, here's the Blu-ray, take it away. Because it keeps some of the mystery surrounded in the darkness, in the grit, in the grime, if you want to, however you want to call it. Do you know what I mean? Not such a clear picture. I mean, obviously the biggest thing is the money side of things. The step into 4K, like I said, saw an increase of about £10 on each film released. That's a lot of money when you buy as many as what I was buying. I say was because I don't want to say do buy, because I'm on this journey of slowing, of decreasing my pickup. So I want to say it's a thing of the past. I want to talk past tense, because mentally that's how I want to take it, and that's how I want to be in 6 months, a year's time, that it is definitely past tense. So let's talk past tense now. So yeah, so the amount of money that's been spent additionally too, had I stuck with the collection, not got a 4K player, you know, I wouldn't have been tempted by the 4K releases, the multiple of the probably the special editions, maybe, I don't know, because when they included Blu-ray as well, would I have picked them up and said, I'm future-proofing the collection? Would I have used that as a rhetoric? I don't know. Certainly I'm not going to stop with the 4Ks, because, you know, I do enjoy the best picture possible on particular films. But I do think that I made a mistake in possibly going too far heavy into 4K. It's one-sided. It's very top-heavy that way towards them, in that I would pick up any film because it was the 4K. It was, and the Blu-ray would have benefited enough in a lot of cases, in a lot of films, in that, you know, is it really required viewing on 4K? You know, like I said, especially the comedies, because, you know, am I going to laugh anymore? I did upgrade films like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Home Alone, National Lampoon's Vacation, Christmas Vacation, and I have watched them on 4K. I cannot remember laughing any more than what I had on previous watches of the Blu-ray. See what I mean? It's, yeah. So yes, I think that although it's a question I'm posing, it's a kind of rhetorical question in a sense, in that, you know, the answer at this stage isn't a simple yes or no. It's kind of like you've made errors. You've made you've let a pendulum swing too far. You should have found a happy medium between the two formats, and in doing so, not spent as much money. That's the only conclusion I can really come to. Was the upgrade worth it? Ultimately, the TV was worth it at 75 inches, yes. The 4K player, you know, yeah, I'll say yeah, but errors were made along the way that if I had the ability to go back now to see myself at that point where I'm unwrapping the TV, unwrapping the player, jumping on Amazon or eBay or whatever, I would grab myself by the shoulder and I'd say, slow down. It's not all needed. It's not all needed in 4K. Because seriously, you know, yeah, that's my ultimate feeling to it. So tell me what you think. Tell me, you know, have you stepped into the world of 4K? Have you considered it and said no? Have you done it and then thought to yourself, it's not all it's cracked up to be? I wish I hadn't done it because of the cost implications, this sort of thing. Or are you a 4K, I don't want to use the term snob, most definitely, because, you know, hats off to you if that's what you collect and you just go down that 4K route. You know, it's all different for each of us. You still got the people who just benefit from DVD. Again, you know, at the end of the day, it's all physical media, right? It's all under one umbrella. So whether a collector is collecting only DVD still, only Blu-ray still, only 4K, only a steelbook collector, if you are a collector of just the special editions and you're happy with that, fantastic. At the end of the day, we're all under that umbrella, enjoying the same stuff at different corners of the field, so to speak. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I shall see you sometime soon. And I'll give that one a think. What if I just stayed with Blu-ray? What would have happened? What would have happened to me? What would have happened with my channel? How would things have progressed? Would I even started a channel if I didn't go into 4K? Yeah, I'll have to delve on that one. Obviously, it'll be a very speculatory kind of video in a sense, but it might be an interesting delve. But yeah, let me know, and I'll see you all soon. So take care.